NNF After Dark is brought to you by Sandpiper Vacations. For all of your vacation planning needs, visit www.sandpipervacations.com. Tell them that the No New Friends podcast sent you.
Welcome to NNF After Dark. Chris is going to take you through the highlights of the previous episode and maybe even say some bad words, plus celebrity interviews and much, much more. And now, here he is, the scumbag reselling hoarder himself, Chris Yob.
Wow. With that new intro, it sounds like I'm about to box one of the Paul brothers.
Right?
Welcome to No New Friends After Dark, episode 3, where we not only peel back the curtain. What do we have to pull back the curtain? Not peel back. We're not peeling any curtains. We're pulling curtains. We're ripping them down. We're pulling off the hinges. We're talking about the prior episode. We're talking about things that didn't even make it into the episode. And that starts right now. I'm so happy to be here. I'm so happy to have this second show week. Scott's really happy to have this second show week. He's been trying to make us do this for, I don't know, how long has the podcast been going on now?
Ever since we went down from 3 to 2, then to 1, I've been wanting to go back up to 2 episodes.
Yeah, that's like triple the amount of sex Scott has in a month. So yeah, I gotta get some action in some time.
Some way.
Listen, I'm your host, Chris. Scott's my other host. Sarah's my other host. I'm not going to let them talk because we do that in the first episode. I mean, they're going to talk during the episode. They're just not. This
is yours and Sarah's show. I'm just here to tell some jokes, maybe write some cliff notes.
Yeah, you're just here to tell us how drunk you aren't.
I'm not yet.
Yeah,
because last week I started drinking before the regular Sunday episode started. So by the time that we recorded episode 1, because we recorded out of our order, you put it the best. Drinking for you guys is like a steroid. For me, it's a beta blocker. 100%.
Yeah, it's true. I'm glad you remembered that. Well, you didn't remember. You probably listened back. So Scott, before we get started here, I do have a lot to get into from this prior episode. But while Sarah was gone, I think tucking her kids into sleep, her husband Lewis from the Nerd Archive podcast popped on, and he specifically asked me to ask you, Sarah, what do the kids say when you play I Spy?
Oh, this is fantastic. So, Jordan, specifically our youngest, she loves to play it. And so one time we're driving after school and she said, I spy with my little eye something brown. We're looking all around. Okay. The tree over there, the garage door over there. It's Daddy. So then we died laughing. We thought it was hysterical. So she goes, I spy with my little eye something white. It's Sarah.
Oh, I was going to say it couldn't be Sarah because that would be I spy something ghostly. I spy something translucent.
So true. This light doesn't help me at all. Really, it doesn't.
No, I thought you were wearing like glow in the dark black paint light.
I bought the expensive lights so that you could turn like a little yellow, so it gives me a slight tan, so I don't have to use the makeup that Scott tries to get me to wear every week.
Sarah, the Republican Party called. They want their sheets back. I think I used that joke already tonight.
It's okay. So anyway,
this is why I don't drink in podcasts.
Don't jokingly say it because you're going to say it seriously.
I need a shot every time now.
Yeah, no, we die from alcohol poisoning. So, okay, so this is the third episode of No New Friends After Dark. So we did talk about race tonight. So perfect. We can talk about anything we want now because we've already offended.
We've already opened the door. Yeah, and we do have a really cool interview in segment 2 that Chris will tell you about later. It's probably one of my favorite interviews so far.
It's okay. I don't want to say it's not offending anybody. I don't want to say it's the least important person. It's the least famous person, I think we should say. Because she's debatably the most important person we've interviewed.
Yeah.
It's the least famous person we've interviewed, but our favorite interview.
Yeah.
And we're gonna have a long lasting relationship with her, I think, moving forward, which is really exciting. We will talk about that later in the episode. Right now, we're talking about the episode that we just recorded tonight. Scott, what'd you think about the episode?
Well, let me pulling back the curtain. Did not go the way that I thought it was going to go. So I actually had another topic in mind most of the week for segment one. And that's what usually happens. I usually only come up with one segment and then we just kind of play off of it for the rest of the episode. So as I was listening to when the last episode dropped, which was the Surrounded by Dry Fit, I was listening to the part about the restaurants and it triggered me. It made me actually very, very angry that Chris was judging this restaurant. So I'm like, you know what? We're going to do a restaurant segment. I kind of said maybe we should do one, and it's been a very long time. And I really hate doing restaurant segments, to be honest with you, because
Scott, I do want to cut you off for a second. Your first problem was taking anything that I say seriously.
Well, your first mistake was thinking that I took it seriously. I just thought it was a good jumping off point for a passionate thing, and it just honestly it didn't work the way that I envisioned, because I was so excited about it. I texted Mary and Sarah, what was it, yesterday morning, and I was like, I want to do a restaurant segment, so come up with as many things as you can think of that piss us off. That it's like, if we could teach people how to run a restaurant, they wouldn't be as angry. It would make more sense. And it just didn't play out the way that I wanted it to, or the way that I hoped. But that's what happens sometimes. I think a segment's going to be really funny and it falls flat. And then I'll think a segment's going to fall flat and it ends up being really funny. So
we were going off in the text though.
Oh, I know. I almost crashed 3 times because I'm laughing and it was rapid fire.
I should have been there.
Yeah, there was no double tap, triple tap rules. We were triple tapping, quadruple tapping, just on and on. It was the most engagement I've gotten out of anybody from this podcast in the 2 years that we've been doing this.
See, and I think that the best segments are the ones that aren't planned most of the time.
I know.
And because the segments that are planned even pivot to things that aren't planned to become staples. Say the dog sleeping in the bed, like that was not planned. We talked about that before, so I'm not going to get into it. But I mean, like, I don't know. But you know, I think when you listen back to it, it's not going to be as bad as you thought it was. Just because it didn't go as planned doesn't mean it was bad. I think it was an okay segment.
This is what always happens. Every time I walk away from a bad episode or an episode that I don't think was very good, Chris and I talk about it, and as soon as I edit it and I do the final editing, I'm like, okay, that was actually a pretty good episode, because I can speed up the process a little bit, get to the punchlines and all that. But
so now that we talked a little bit about the episode, what was said in the episode, I want to talk a little bit about what wasn't said in the episode. So we're gonna say the term peeling back the curtains 100 times every episode. But
so I hope you have your No New Friends bingo card. Peeling back the curtains, that's pretty much the free space.
Yeah. So peeling back the curtains, we hop on tonight, and Scott asks us, like, hey, I hope you guys have something for tonight, because I don't have a whole lot. I have for the first segment planned, but I don't really have anything planned for segments 2 and 3. And I started to say something about a story that I wanted to tell that happened to me. But I was like, I don't think this is really good for the show. I just don't feel comfortable with it on the show. But you know what? I've had a glass of wine since then. I'm drinking. I've had half a beer, 8% since then. So I think I'm ready to tell that. So, and I have a follow. So my question for tonight, and I'm going to ask you guys this before I tell my story, so you guys can get the gears turning in your head. Do you two have any favorite or embarrassing wingman or wingwoman moments in your life where you had a perfect wingman moment, where you were at a bar or at a wedding and you were like, and then you just kind of like gave that Rajon Rondo assist to a friend of yours, and it just was perfect, ended in perfection. So I have a story. It just happened to me. So don't answer that right now. I'm going to tell my story, and unless you want to tell your story first, Scott, you look pretty excited.
No, no. So The only wingman story that I had, it was someone else was wingmanning me.
Sure, they were winging you.
Yeah, they were winging me. And I met a girl and I reached it, or I leaned in and I was like, "Hey, you want to get out of here?" And she's like, "What?" I was like, "Do you have any kids?" And anyway, continue.
So
I'm not good at the improv.
anyway, so Friday night, I had a really, really great time. I'm going to tell this whole story. Since this is No New Friends After Dark, I'm going to tell the whole story because we don't have any time restraints on here. It's not going to be a long story, but it's not something I'd tell on the No New Friends podcast. And that's what makes this one so great. So I am in a very... Go ahead, Scott.
Let me remind you that this does get published on the No New Friends stream under the banner. So it comes out as a regular episode.
No, I understand that, but I don't have to. I'm not in the time restraints of a segment.
Oh, yeah, you go for it.
Yeah. So I have this very high stakes fantasy football league that I'm in every year, and it's expensive to join, but the stakes aren't really the money. It's the bragging rights, and it's just the honor of being champion because it's all my childhood friends. It's everyone that I've known for at least 10 or so years. We've all formed a brotherhood. This fantasy football league is so serious that we have an owners meeting, and we have an owners meeting in 2 weeks at Dave & Buster's. We run out a room. We vote on new rule changes. And in the owners meeting, I give an opening monologue that will never be shown to the public at all because it is the darkest thing you've ever seen in your life.
All right, I like it. I'm there for it.
And if anyone ever records it, we force them to delete it because no one feels comfortable with that being released to the public.
It's like The Hangover.
So yeah. So there's an owners meeting. There's a draft that we go to usually Atlantic City every year and do a draft for a whole weekend. We do a draft one night and we just hang out the whole weekend. So it's this very, very tight brotherhood that we have, right? Someone new won the championship this year and I'm a former champion. So what we did was my one friend texted, he said, "Hey guys, pretend like this thing existed forever or pretend like this is normal." So he adds, he makes a group chat and he adds the new person. It's not like he added them because the group chat was made that day, but he added the new champion in and he said, "Hey, congratulations. Welcome to the club." And then I chimed in and say, "This is the longest running secret in this league's history, this group chat." And he totally believed it and everyone just went along with it. So this kid thinks that this group chat of champions existed forever. So we took it one step further. And another guy goes, "Yeah, we go out to a champions dinner every year. It's all the champions. We get together and nobody knows about it except for the champions." So since we talked about it, we had to do it. So on Friday night, we had a reservation, which we did make a reservation, Scott.
Oh, good.
At a steakhouse, like a really nice steakhouse. And everybody wore like blazers. Like it was a really nice place. Like everyone got dressed up to go. And we had this champions dinner that to this day, a week later, still none of the non-champions know about. Like nobody knows that this dinner happened unless you won this fantasy football.
But you put it on Facebook.
No, I didn't.
Oh, did you just send it to us?
I just sent it to you.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Nobody posted any pictures. So we go to this fantasy football champions dinner and then we broke it to him and we're like, "Hey man," and I recorded it all. It's on my phone. We recorded it all like, "Hey man," and we explained like, "This is not real." And he was like, "Listen, I told all my friends that this was like a thing that you guys have been doing for like the past 8 years." He goes, "I even went as far as saying the first ever champion went out and got dinner by himself." So we had this steak dinner, but we said, "Listen, with all this being said, this is now very much a thing. And this is very much a secret that no one's going to know about. And then every year we're going to do this." So anyway, so that's fun as it is. But the more fun thing comes after the dinner. So me and a couple of my friends, it was 3 of us, went to a bar after the champions dinner. And we went to a neighborhood bar, and we don't live in the city, right? We live in the suburbs. So this neighborhood bar was not like it's funny because it's either you're a college student or you're a parent. Like there's no in between.
Right.
Like it's one of those bars. I took a picture of the DJ. The DJ is like a 55-year-old mother with bangs and like a 90s haircut. And
playing the chicken dance.
yes, and she's playing. Yeah, she's playing all like the top hits from 15 years ago. So we go in, and as soon as we go in, like as soon as we go, because we're wearing our blazers, it looks like we're coming from somewhere very, very important. Because we're going to this dive bar, like it's nowhere fancy. So we walk in, and these two moms, as the kids call them, MILFs. I think we're not MILFs. So we go in, and these older women are like, "Ooh, look at these handsome young men coming in. Where are you guys coming from?" And of course, I ignore them because I'm married. I do not talk to these women. So
Smart
it's
move.
so there's three of us. The two of us are taken. I'm married. My other friend's engaged, but my third friend is single.
Oh,
Right. So we're letting my single friend, he's running the show that night. So like, listen, we're with you. We're your wingmen tonight. Wherever you go, we go. We're like the Mandalorian and Baby Yoda, right? Wherever you go, I go. So he said, we're going to take a lap around the bar, which I didn't even know was a thing, but I guess the thing. I guess you're scoping out. I guess you're scouting, right? So the average age at this place was 57.
wow.
And that's with the college kids. I know Scott's drooling right now because that's a great number for him. So we go to the end of the bar. We're having some drinks, and then the women that said, "Oh, who are these young handsome men coming through?" Two of them come over to us, and they start talking to us. "Oh, where are you guys coming from?" So what are we gonna say? What are we gonna say? We're coming from a champions dinner? Like like a fantasy football champions dinner? It's like, what you guys just close a big deal? What do you guys? And I said, "Oh, we're all just celebrating." Just celebrating what? And I was like, "Oh, we're just celebrating life." So, I was like, "Listen, we're all just childhood friends. We have to make excuses to get together." And, we all just went out to a nice dinner tonight, and all just celebrated being friends and just getting to see each other. And I thought it was like a very sweet thing, right? So I want to break it to these people that I'm married because I don't want anyone hitting on me. Not like they're going to, but I don't want that guilt, that white guilt. So I don't think it applies to that actually. So anyway, so the one woman says, "Oh, I'm married." I said, "Oh, so am I." And I showed my ring. And then she goes, "But my friend, she's going through a divorce." So what is the great line that my single friend lays on her? He goes, "That's so hot," and puts his arm around her. So anyway, so then we're talking to them, right? We go around to the other side of they leave. We go around to the other side of the bar, and this woman who's going through the divorce, who is flirting with my friend, is now dancing with this older guy who looks like he sells solar. And when I say looks like he sells solar, he's wearing the dry fit polo, tucked into khaki pants with running shoes. Right?
Oh God.
So it's like if he doesn't sell solar, then I'm not a scumbag reselling hoarder. like this guy definitely sells solar, right? He's there with his other friend who sells solar, who's wearing the quarter zip with the khaki pants, brown belt, and running shoes, right? Like they were just knocking doors for the last 4 hours.
The stylish like dress tennis shoes.
Yes. Like they were Brooks. Like they were, you could dress them up or dress them down, but there's no doubt that you sell solar. So anyway, you start dancing with this solar guy, and they started they're getting into it on the floor. So then the three of us are all talking, like, "Oh man, she was ugly anyway. You don't need her. And she was old and this and that." And like, we're just trash talking this girl now. Just the three of us, right? So then I get a little more drinks in me, and now I'm unhinged at this point, right? Oh. And it's 12 o'clock, which means Emily is here to pick me up. So me and my friend live in the same neighborhood. So like, listen, Emily can pick us up. They're not going to Uber, but she's going to pick us up. So we're walking out the door earlier in the night when she's dancing when this woman's dancing with this solar guy. He's got a little bald spot on the back of his head, right? So I said, "Hey, listen, you got to go up to her when he leaves and be like, 'Hey, what do you want? A guy that's bald, or you want a full set of hair?'" Right? Because he's at least 12 years younger than this guy, right? We find out she's 38 years old, and my friend is like 27, right? So a little bit of an age difference. So I'm leaving the bar, and she's standing out there with her friend. And so I'm like, you know what? This is my chance. This is my Rudy moment, Scott. This is my Rudy moment. Listen,
yeah.
I'm happily married. I don't flirt with other girls, right? But this was my chance to flirt with someone for someone else. So it makes sense. So I go out and I start spitting some game with this girl for my friend, not for me. And I'm like, "Hey, what are you doing with that old guy on the dance floor? What are you doing?" And then I was like, hey, what do you want? A guy with a bald spot? Or you want a guy with a full head of hair? And she was like, oh yeah, your friend was really cute. She's like, give him my number. I was like, oh, so I took her number down and texted it to him. And I texted him when I'm leaving, and I'm like, hey, don't use the bald spot joke. I mean, don't use the bald spot pickup line because I just used it. Don't ask me any questions. but here's her name and number. And guess what? Successful mission. That's all I'm gonna say.
Oh, nice.
Successful mission. I got the assist. So like I ended that night with one assist. I got a single. I got one assist, and that was actually it. I got one assist. But that was my Rudy moment, Scott. Because listen, I've been married for 2 years. No, I've been married for 1 year now.
1 year.
And I've been with Emily for like 11.
Hold on. You've been married in too short of a time to forget how many years you've been married.
Married in 1 year is like 6 years in relationship. in single years.
Right.
So listen, I've been married for 1 year, right? And I've been with Emily since junior year of high school, right? I haven't spit game to any girls since junior year of high school to Emily, right? Being able to kind of like spit some game and say like I still have it from like junior of high school, which sounds really creepy, was really cool for me. Like that was real. That was like I wrote that like when I wrote my diary entry that night when I came home.
Well,
I wrote my diary. Yes.
You have a diary?
Sure. Brett Kavanaugh had one that saved him from rape charges, Scott.
Okay. Gotcha. So do you have a diary to save yourself from rape charges?
Listen, not rape charges, but all legal charges.
Or do you just need to change your tampon?
The only thing I don't write in my diary is how much I lose on the online casino every day. Because that's up for speculation. But yeah, man. So I basically got late. No, man, that was like I don't know how to explain that, but it's like I'd say it was an assist, but I feel like it was almost like a walk-off home run. Like so, my friend,
you didn't have to actually touch home plate.
No, my friend was exactly.
So you got the RBI. You got the RBI.
Yeah, the game-winning RBI. Yeah, so my friend. my friend was on third base, and I hit the game-winning RBI. So not a walk-off home run because I didn't have to touch home plate. But yeah, man. So like I was, and he never said thank you. But I know deep down he appreciates me for a woman that I'll never talk to again.
Oh, good for him. Happy steak and a BJ day.
Yeah, I mean, and you know what? I broke Lent and I ate steak that day, but I traded Jesus because St. Patrick's Day apparently you're allowed to eat meat. What?
Were you collecting like holy cards? You traded Jesus for a John the Baptist or a piece of meat? Judas?
This is how it works. Listen, my friend got a couple pieces of meat that night. One was cooked medium, the other one I don't know. But so on St. Patrick's Day, we're allowed to eat meat because the Pope says so. Uh-huh. And I'm not going to eat meat on Friday because I eat meat. Listen, you go to a steakhouse, you can't order chicken. Oh, no, I can't eat chicken anyway. It's meat. I can't order fish. I'm not going to get the salmon.
I gotta get the salmon. I gotta get salmon.
Listen, Jesus. Listen. So it's Lent. You can't eat meat on Fridays if you're Catholic, like myself. So, and I follow that. And so last Friday, I went to the steakhouse. Jesus would have been disappointed if I got fish.
Okay.
At a steakhouse.
Yeah. So let's picture it. Jerusalem, 0. So Jesus is walking the path, the famous trail of tears, if you will, to go get crucified. Okay. And he says, hold up, guys. It's St. Patrick's Day. I can't be killed today. Like, is that how sacrifice works?
Listen, I do whatever the Pope tells me to do. I follow him blindly when he tells me that I can eat meat on St. Patrick's Day. Now, I am a little worried, Scott, because I am going to St.
on a Friday.
It is, and I am going to St. Patrick's Day party on Friday. So I am a little worried that they're going to have some like buffalo chicken dip there, and I'm like, oh Jesus, like please bail me out here. Like this is buffalo chicken dip we're talking.
But here's the thing: you're Catholic.
Right.
So if you break a rule or sin, you just ask for forgiveness. You're good.
Yeah. So you bring up a really, really convincing point there, Scott.
I know. And it's not a sin. It's a voluntary, like, hey, we're gonna simulate the sacrifice that Jesus made by walking down the Trail of Tears to get murdered by the Jews. And look, you can break that. It's fine. Because hold on, because Jesus did not fulfill that full sacrifice. He didn't stay dead. He was like Anne Heche. He got up and he walked away from death. Okay, so it's fine. You if he didn't fulfill the full sacrifice, you don't have to either.
Let's break this down for a second because you bring up some very good points.
Happy Zombie Jesus Day.
Sarah, we're going to educate you a little bit here because I know you don't know a lot about this stuff.
You don't know what your people
I have
did.
so many questions.
But this Jesus guy that you think is just a human actually was a god.
Yeah. He rose from the dead 3 days after he died, and nobody recognized him.
I don't know if that's how it works.
He looked different.
I don't think that's part of the Bible, but we'll reread it on
Every time
next
we
week's episode. Okay. All right. You bring up a good point. So Jesus died, right? And I'm talking this out because I want you to make this make sense. I don't know if it's the wine in my head, it's the beer in my head, or if it's wow, you're right, Scott, in my head. So Jesus died, comes back to life. After the seventh day, he rose from the dead, right?
Third
day, he rose from the dead.
Yeah, he was murdered by the Jews on Good
Oh.
Friday. Why they call it? The Jews must have named Good Friday, and then he rose 3 days later on Sunday, which is actually 2 days later.
If he rose from the dead, how did he get to heaven?
What?
If he rose from the dead,
How
did he die again? Did he die again?
He did die again, but nobody knows how. The Mormons killed him. I don't know. He didn't. He died at some point.
We'll have to break that down for another time.
It doesn't really say. I don't know that it really says in the Bible how Jesus died again, like Anne Heche. Maybe in a car accident. I don't know. So Sarah, you've got kids, right?
I'm just reading all of these comments coming in, trying to figure out what actually happened. No useful information yet, though.
No. They're mostly just talking smack about how I let Chris talk all this time. This is after dark. Chris gets to talk during this.
Yeah, this is. I'm the captain now. So as we ponder how Jesus died twice, we're gonna let you listen to an interview. Perfect segue from religion to our celebrity interview. We interview, actually non-celebrity interview this time. We talk to Laura Willoughby, who should be a celebrity.
She should be a celebrity.
In all actuality.
But it actually worked out for her. She almost became a celebrity.
She bossed celebrities around.
Yeah.
Essentially. She's a casting director. Spoiler alert, if you listen to the interview. We interview Laura Willoughby, which is our personal favorite interview thus far in our short history of interviewing people, but our favorite nonetheless. She is such an interesting human being, Scott, and I think you can attest to this as well as Sarah, that it's just awesome to talk to. And you're going to be able to hear her talk next on No New Friends After Dark. Let us know what you think. Let us know if you're in the area for her film festival. And if you are, buy us a plane ticket. Let us come down. Let us join with you.
Yeah, let us stay at your place. We're all poor. Well, some of us are poor.
Scott's not. Well, Scott is, but his wife's not. Without any further ado, here's Laura Willoughby from the Bedford Film Festival.
There are 3 things that I hate in life: taxes, nausea, and booking vacations. The first 2 I'm stuck with, but for the third, I use Sandpiper Vacations. Sandpiper Vacations is a small business that is LGBTQ+ owned and operated with travel advisors all over the country. Whether it's a cruise, a trip to a theme park, or an all-inclusive resort, Sandpiper has you covered. Oh, and I forgot to mention, it's free. Why book a vacation when you can have someone else do it for you? That's like choosing to take the stairs in a building that has an elevator. Leave the headaches of booking a vacation to someone else. Get your quote today at www.sandpipervacations.com and tell them that the No New Friends podcast sent you.
Welcome back to the No New Friends podcast After Dark. We are joined by another special guest this evening. Her name is Laura Willoughby, and she is the president and CEO of the Bedford Film Festival. Did I get that right, Laura?
Absolutely. Yes, you did.
So what is the Bedford Film Festival? First of all, it's in Bedford, Virginia. So tell us a little bit about the Bedford Film Festival.
Yeah, so the Bedford Film Festival was set up 5 years ago. So we're going into our 5th year. We are set up in the beautiful Blue Ridge Mountains, Appalachian Mountains, right at the Peaks of Otter in Bedford. We put the film festival here for a couple of different reasons. I have family that's actually from Bedford, and a couple of my kids were visiting here. I was long gone from Bedford, Virginia, many years ago, and thought, that's rear view mirror stuff. I will never look back there. I grew up in San Diego, but my high school years, we actually moved back to Virginia. So I went to a little high school called Brookville High School in Lynchburg, Virginia. And my family was from Bedford. And my kids came out for a little visit, and they were like, Bedford's changed. Like, it's a little different. It's and I was like, well, maybe I'll pop back in one day. And my eldest son, who is in the film business, he was like, Mom, this would be a great place for like a film festival. Like, we could really, I'm a big believer in paying forward and giving back and those kinds of things. So he's like, this would be a great place to put a film festival, because there are so many talented people who live in these little rural areas, and they have the talent, but they have no idea what to do to kind of cultivate themselves and to kind of progress themselves. And so I came out and I said, okay, let's try one and see what happens. And we thought it was going to be a very small little thing. And oh my goodness, it just, like, we had like for a first year film festival in a little bitty town, we had probably 55 guests.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we were quite shocked. And we had so many submissions. We are an international film festival, so we take submissions from everywhere. And we had so many submissions from the Virginia area. And the Virginia Film Office contacted us, and they've been a sponsor of ours all 5 years. Every year they donate a little money for us. And Destination Bedford, which is a little group in Bedford that is constantly working with tourism, to try to get people here. And there's just so much history. There's so much going on here, history-wise. So they're constantly trying to get people in. And they were very pleased that we brought people. Our first year, we had a guy from France show up.
Wow.
We had three people from Ireland show up. We had a guy from Canada. And then we had multiple people from across the United States. We had multiple people from California, a guy from Texas. And we were scratching our heads going, wow, really? Like, this is awesome. So then we just kind of opened up into doing workshops and, writers workshops, or how to find money for your film workshops. And, constantly people are like, oh, my daughter's 6 and she's beautiful and I really want to put her in movies. So we started doing workshops like Growing Up Hollywood. And we got people like Jeremy Miller,
Mm-hmm.
Julie McCullough, Claudia Wells from Back to the Future. We just had these people going, hey, we'd love to help. We'll come out for you.
Wow.
And we'll do these workshops. Yeah. And then we got our 501c3 nonprofit status so that we can try to do these workshops for free. And so basically that was the long-winded way of saying we have this little film festival and people submit on Film Freeway. And then we have a little competition. We have judges who go through all the films. and then we pick winners, and then we show those winners. And then what we do for people is we try to connect them to distributors, or to agents, managers, people that can actually help them move forward. And that's kind of what we do.
That's super interesting. Now, do you have a background in the film industry?
Oh, yes, I do. I actually started, like I said, I grew up in San Diego, so I grew up as an actress. I did local television shows, modeling calendars, just, a little bit of this and that. And I went for an audition for Pet Cemetery way back.
Wow.
That was the very first horror movie I ever saw.
Wasn't that
Pet
great?
Sematary. I love that movie.
Oh my gosh.
Scott loves dogs, so
I
that's
went-
right up his alley.
So I went up to audition, and they were like, you're just not absolutely right for the part. And so a friend of mine was with me, and we started chatting with the casting directors. And after a few minutes, the casting director said, "Would you do me a favor?" And I said, "Yeah, sure." And she's like, "Would you read this character, this character breakdown?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure, why not?" And I read it, and she's like, "Okay, so now I'm going to show you like 5 pictures, and I want you to pick an actor that kind of matches." And I was like, "Oh." And so I picked out like one, and then I did a backup, and she's like, "Oh my God, you're good at this." She offered me a job in the casting department, like right there. And I was just there to
Wow.
audition. Yeah.
That's
So I was
amazing.
like, yeah. So I was like, this is awesome. It was, her name was Polly, and she worked for Champion Basker. So Fern Champion was the lead casting director, and these girls were there as assistants. And they picked me up, and I discovered this is really cool because he is an actress. And when you're on set, or like I did plays as well as film and TV. And I was like, you're always so careful about everything, your hair, your makeup, your weight, don't eat, don't be at the craft service table. Don't. And I discovered very quickly that on the crew side of it, we get to wear our sweatpants, and we get to put our hair in a ponytail, and we can eat anything from raisins to Snickers at the craft service table, and nobody cares. Like, nobody cares. There's nobody like monitoring everything that you do. So I was like, you know what? I like being on the crew side. Like, I like this. So I kind of stuck with crew side, and it was probably less than 10 years ago I turned to producing, and
Oh.
it was really kind of, it was kind of a vanity thing, because I was just like, as you get older, people don't want to hire you as much. And I was like, screw it, I'll write my own stuff and I'll
Nice.
produce it.
Incredible.
I'll be an actress in my own things. So now what? So, but I suck at finding money. It's like,
Don't we all?
Sarah's really good
Well,
at
when
finding money, but that's just something
Oh,
was
okay.
brought up with.
Well, Sarah, you're my new best friend. So
Any projects that that you've worked on that we would know, either in production or in the casting department?
yeah, so in the casting department, you probably know quite a few. As a producer, my budgets are so small, but as a casting director, I worked on things like Pet Cemetery, Dragonfly with Kevin Costner, Summersby with Richard Gere and Jodie Foster, Jaws 3D in Florida with Dennis Quaid and Bess Armstrong.
I love that. Let me tell you, I love that movie so much. And my mom, I was 3 years old when that movie came out, and my mom was going to take us to, because I'm in Orlando, Florida. My mom was going to take us to SeaWorld to sit in the stadium and be in that one scene, the crowd scene. But she was like, a 3-year-old, I don't know that would work.
Oh my gosh, that is so funny, because it's funny how the universe does things like that, because I worked for about 5 days on that scene where they filled the Orlando stadium with people, with background, and the extras. And I was in charge of as I was there as casting. I wasn't the casting director, but I was assisting the casting director. And it was awesome because I got to hand out like all the little box lunches and answer all the questions and tell people, sit down, you can't get up yet, or no, you can't move seats, you got to stay where you are, so yeah, it was a lot of fun being out there. Yeah, I love Orlando. It's great.
That's amazing. So is that kind of where you got acquainted with and help me out on the pronunciation, Carl Gottlieb, who wrote the Jaws films?
Actually, no, I just recently met Carl.
Oh,
incredible guy. Yeah, he is just awesome. I met him through my PR guy, Steve Joyner, Steve J.
right.
And I met Carl. Carl was like, what's this, this film festival thing that Steve keeps talking about? And I was like, oh, we have, people come out and do these workshops and talk to people. And Carl was like, I'll do a workshop for you. And I was like, oh, well, thank you, Mr. Gottlieb, but we couldn't even think of affording you. And he's like, no, I will do it for you because I think that we should give back. And I was like, oh, you're awesome. Done deal. I called my attorney and I was like, I need a contract like super fast before this guy wakes up and goes, what am I thinking? And so she got me a contract and we got it over to Carl, and he's bringing Kelly Maroney with him. And Kelly Maroney was in Fast Times at Ridgemont High. She was in Night of the Comet, fun movies, fun movies.
Sure.
And so she's going to come out for us as well. But that's how I met Carl. Yeah. Through my PR guy.
That's awesome. And then you also have Claudia Wells coming to the film festival. And for those of you who don't know, Claudia Wells is the cast member of Back to the Future that everybody kind of forgets about. But she was the original Jennifer Parker in Back to the Future Part
Jennifer
1.
Parker.
Before she had to kind of spend some time with her family, and then they recast was it Elizabeth Shue in that role.
Elizabeth Shue. Yeah, exactly. And I was thinking, how awkward would this be? Because Keith Coogan will come out for me for the festival. I'm trying to get that locked. He's not secured yet, but I was thinking how much fun to have Keith Coogan and Elizabeth Shue from Adventures in Babysitting and Claudia Wells from Back to the Future. I was like,
Pretty
I might
awesome.
just do that. So we're working on it.
Wow.
Working on that.
That's so awesome. Now, you mentioned off air that you live in Ireland right now. So how did you go from San Diego, Virginia, and now Ireland?
Okay, so yeah, I'm a world traveler, and I love it. I love to travel. But basically, yeah, I was working away in Los Angeles, just working on films, doing whatever it is producers do, pretending to work, I guess, is what a lot of people think.
I'm good at that too.
That's what Chris does. Chris pretends to work.
Right? And it's like, why are you always on your phone? It's like you work 22 weeks out of the year and you get one movie. Yeah, I know.
Chris works 22 minutes out of the year, and it's usually just trading Pokemon cards.
Right? That can be good money. Look,
Hey, see, I'm trying to tell him.
You got to get those rares, right?
Exactly. She gets me.
So yeah, I was there in LA, and a friend of mine was just like, we had been introduced through mutual friends. And so he was like, why don't you pop into Ireland? They have these really great tax rebates here. And I was like, rebate? What? Explain rebate. Like, I understand tax credits. I know tax incentives. I know product integration, distribution. What are these tax rebates you speak of? And he was like, no, come and just check it out. So I went there for a visit in October of 2014, checked out. I went to the unions. I went and checked out the film commission. It's called Screen Ireland now. I chatted with them a little bit, and they were like, yeah, so this is how it works. You make a movie, and 30 days after you turn in your final cost report, we give you a check back for like 25 to 30% of all the qualified spend that you put into a movie.
Wow.
And I said,
Ah.
yeah. And they still do it to this day. And I said, awesome. Sign me up. How do I live here?
Right. Sarah,
And
I see
so-
Sarah Googling how to move to Ireland right now.
Oh, I've done that multiple times in the past, and it just gives me another reason to do it.
She follows rebates.
Oh yeah. I mean, the tax incentives and the rebates there are to die for. They are, I mean, and they make it so easy there. Like everybody is so lovely. I mean, you never find a cross Irishman. It's no matter what's happening, they're just, like, nah, let's go have a smoke and we'll have a pint and then we'll figure it out. And I was like,
Wow.
I don't know how to deal with not being stressed. So somebody's going to have to yell at me or something because I cannot work like this. Can't work this relaxed. But yeah, so I got my actual business permission in February of 2015. And so I worked on, a few films there. I produced Wild Goose Lodge, which was a historical piece, but we did get distribution for it. We got some local theaters, some theaters in London. And I think you can find it on like RTE or some of the Irish stations. It was a great movie. It had a lot of Irish professionals in it. Yeah, so I just continued to work there, met a lot of really good actors. And so I hop them across the pond to America whenever I can. If somebody calls and needs me to produce something in America, I go, yes, but it's a package deal. There's my three favorite actors have to come. I have a producer friend that has to be with me, and they're like, you're insane, but fine. How do we work this out? So that's kind of how it happened. Yeah. Just a friend who just happened to be paying attention to, a newspaper article that said, try to get your friends to film in Ireland. It was great.
Oh, that's so cool. Now, some of these names that participate in the Bedford Film Festival: Jeremy Miller from Growing Pains, Anthony Michael Hall from Weird Science, Claudia Wells, who we talked about, Carl from Jaws, that we talked about, Kelly. Are these names that you reached out? Oh, Eddie Deason from Grease. Are these names that you've reached out to, or did they just kind of hear about it and say, I want to be involved in this?
No, Jeremy Miller, I am really good friends with him and his fiance, Joni. So when I was talking about the film festival, they were just like, well, if there's anything we can do, let me know. And I was like, oh, yeah, cool. I never thought of bringing someone from California to Virginia. I was like, oh, they're going to sit on a porch and kind of grow cobwebs and be bored. So I think we'll leave that alone. But Jeremy was like, no, look, anything you need. And I said, okay, well, I'll tell you what, I'm doing this little workshop called Growing Up Hollywood. And it is basically a little seminar for parents who are really adamant about, oh, my kid is, beautiful. I want them in commercials. And so I thought, let's do a workshop where we legitimately tell people what it's really like. So get into the nitty gritty of the hours and the crazy people around you, who don't understand. You're a kid. You can't, there's things you shouldn't be doing, or you couldn't do, but it's craziness. So Jeremy came out and did that for me. Everyone else, after Jeremy and Joni volunteered to help, I reached out to. And most of them are people that I've worked with. Anthony Michael Hall, I've known for, probably 15 years or more. Claudia, I've known for a couple of years. I was actually introduced to Claudia through Joni and Jeremy. They are friends.
Wow.
Yeah. Eddie and Carl and Kelly Maroney. I met them through my PR guy, through Steve. So, that's kind of how. And then there's other people that I know, like my kids are in the business. So I'm going to reach out to some other people this year, like Jason Muse. I've worked with Jason a couple of times and he knows my son. So I'm going to ask Jay to come out. I'm going to ask Danny Trejo to come out. Now, I haven't confirmed this with them yet, so you guys are getting a little bit of a scoop.
Breaking.
Yeah, right. I haven't contacted them yet, but I'm going to. I'm going to try to get to it in the next week or so. So yeah, that's how I do. I just reach out to people that I kind of know, and then I ask them, who do you know that you could bring? Hey Jay, you want to bring Kevin Smith? That would be awesome.
Right?
So, I that, yeah. I do a lot of that.
Why
It's like,
not?
you can leave
Reach for the
Kevin,
stars,
bring
right?
back, exactly. And all they can say is no. So
Now, something
yeah.
something that I know, and I'm not going to talk about it too much because we are going to have Jeremy Miller on in a couple weeks, but he's going to be doing like a cooking demonstration at the film festival and cooking like VIP. There's going to be a
Yes.
VIP table and all that. That's really cool.
Wow.
Yeah. Jeremy has agreed to do a fundraiser for us because, like I said, we do a lot of our seminars and our workshops are just free. But we still have to pay for things.
Yep.
So he's coming out to do a fundraiser for us. He's an incredible chef. Like, he's cooked for us like multiple times. He's incredible. And so he's like, well, how can I help? Like, if it's not an acting thing, what can I do with like the cooking stuff? And so Jeremy does these awesome cooking shows. So what he does is he'll go into someone's home and he will prepare a meal, like a full course meal for you. But he's kind of like, it's a cooking show in the sense that he's kind of teaching you the recipes as he kind of goes along, and then you can Q&A and stuff, and then get served dinner and you eat and Jeremy goes away. And I thought, that is actually very awesome. People love to eat, especially here in
Oh
Virginia.
yeah.
So,
I
I'm
must
like,
be a Virginian then because I love to eat.
right. We're all foodies at the end of the day.
Yes, we
But
are.
yeah. So Jeremy,
Sarah
so
loves
Jeremy
food trucks.
was
Loves them.
Big fan.
oh yeah, you know what? We have this little bitty food truck. They call it a roundup, and there's like maybe 6 to 8 food trucks in there. And I find it's here in Virginia. And I like to go just for the novelty of it because food trucks are kind of new in this area. Like, like when you're in Atlanta or New York or LA or even Dallas, Chicago, like food trucks are just kind of there. You know what I mean? Like they're
Yep.
just there, and you go, oh, hey, I think I'll have a taco, or I'll go get a salad from a food truck. Here it's novel and it's interesting. So they have this little corner. It's like a parking lot, and they put these 6 to 8 little food trucks in, and it's only like one weekend of a month, and I just find it so awesome, and I just go there just because it's just like, oh, this is just cool that they even have this here. So
That's awesome.
So I'm with you on the food trucks. Yeah, it's so much fun. But yeah, so Jeremy is going to come out and do a cooking show for us, and we are selling, well, we say we're selling tickets. That's really a lie. People are donating to the cost, so they do get a receipt for it, like a tax deductible write-off for donating.
Sarah's
And
taking
we always
notes.
tell people, look, if you can't but if you can't make the dinner, like if you can't, you can still donate. I mean, we're not going to say no to your money, but while you're there, while you're at this event, Jeremy will take pictures with you. He will sign autographs for you.
Wow.
Yeah, he's going to be doing like, all of these things after the dinner is done. We're also going to have another one. It's called Mama Doe's. And that is Chef Quenetra Purdy from Louisiana. And she's going to come out and do another night for us during the week. So we'll have Jeremy Miller, and then we'll have Chef Quenetra Purdy out, and she'll just be doing Louisiana style food. And she's going to do the king cake. So whoever gets the king cake is going to win like a little basket of little goodies, so we can get people to donate, so we can do more, workshops basically, and more kind of paying it forward to filmmakers in the area who just need to know where to go, how to do it. If you get a hankering to just up and run to LA and go, I'm going to get an agent. It's like, okay, sure. But let me help you at least with the cost of getting there, spending a week, hotels. We just want to be helpful, that people in areas that are not as connected, that we can help them get those connections is basically what the film festival is trying to do. And eventually, hopefully we can fund movies. We'll have our own little project Greenlight.
Oh, that's so cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what we're striving for. That's what we're striving for.
Chris, question for Laura.
Yeah, Laura, real quick. So you said you were on the set of a Jaws movie.
Yeah.
I always had this
Jaws
question,
3D with
and hopefully you have a little bit of insight. How do they train the shark to do whatever they want?
They feed them really bad people.
Yeah, don't pay no attention, my friend Laura. I'm sorry about that question.
They are very mechanical when they work. They're very
Fun fact, and why I love the Jaws franchise so much. One of my first theme park jobs, I drove the Jaws boats at Universal Studios, Florida. So I love
you really?
Jaws. Yeah.
I didn't know
That's
that.
awesome.
Yeah. So I love everything Jaws. My 40th birthday, I had a shark cake, everything around my house. I've got Jaws socks. I'm a Jaws man.
Well, you know what? That's really interesting. Carl has a book called, I think it's called the Jaws Journal or something to that effect. So what we're going to do is we're going to set up like this outdoor screening of Jaws, and it's going to be like in a parking lot. It's a pop-up movie theater because there's no movie theater here, but I'm trying to raise money to actually put one here. So, but we're going to do this pop-up in a parking lot, which I think is awesome. And we're going to show Jaws. Carl is going to do a Q&A. He's going to do a writer's little workshop for us, but he's going to do a little Q&A, and he's going to sell this book, and it's called the Jaws Journal. And it is basically like everything they went through trying to make that original Jaws movie.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, I can't wait because I really want my hands on that book. So, all the little insider tidbits. And so he's bringing that with him to sell. So I'll get you guys a copy. That's what.
Oh, that's amazing.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah, definitely.
Laura, I have one more. I don't have another question. I have a comment. I just wanted to just applaud you for all these aspirations you have. You want to, it's just so cool with filmmaking because people don't understand how important filmmaking is. And filmmaking is, and film itself is just so important. And it's so cool that you go to the lengths that you do to just keep that alive and keep these young filmmakers, maybe even old filmmakers who have a dream to put their film on the screen. I just think that's so cool. And what you're doing in Bedford is just amazing. And I wish I lived a little closer so that I could come by, because it just seems like such a great event where you're going to gather a whole bunch of just really like-minded people. And it just seems like a really fun time.
Well, thank you so much. Yeah. It's, I think that even though this may sound so very cliche-ish, but I genuinely believe that what you put out, you get back. I just, to me, Hollywood, and by Hollywood, I don't mean the place, I mean the system of making films, tries to be so jaded and exclusive. And I find that hysterical because I think that what we need are more movies. When we have a pandemic, what do? How do we entertain ourselves? Well, we stream a movie, don't we?
Yeah.
If you are having just a bad mental health day or a bad mental health year, a comedy, just put on a Gene Wilder, Richard Pryor film, and there's no way, that your endorphins are not going to kick in and your dopamines and serotonins aren't going to, start flooding the brain. And I just think that there's room for everybody to make films, whether they're independent, whether they are studio, whether they're somewhere in between. It doesn't matter. If you've got the passion to get out there and do the work to make it, somebody should see it. And look, if we've got to Ed Wood it and Bobby Bowfinger it, then that's what we got to do. And why not help?
That's awesome.
Why not?
I love that.
That's awesome. Laura, when is the festival, and how can our listeners find more information about the festival, all that good stuff?
Sure. So the festival is always the first Saturday of July. So this year it will be Saturday, July 1st. This year will be the first year that we've got a few preliminary events like Jeremy Cooking, Mama Doe's cooking show, and we'll be doing those pop-up movies as well in the parking lot, which I think is going to be so much fun for Bedford because they just, they're not as savvy to those outdoor screenings. So I think it's going to be so much fun. But anyway, that aside, we are on Facebook, Bedford Film Fest. We are on Instagram, Bedford Film Fest. We have a website, it's Bedford Film Festival or bedfordfilmfest.com. And we're adding the events to it. There are pages where you can donate to the nonprofit if you want. There is a place where you can sponsor. So if you're a company, or even if you're just a person who wants to sponsor something, we do have packages where you can sponsor something. Like, let's just say you love Anthony Michael Hall and you're like, I'll sponsor him. How much is he? And, how much is it for his hotel and his per diems and all of these things?
Oh, cool.
Yeah, we'll give you all that information. So corporations, people, private people, that's all on the website. So,
and that was bedfordfilmfest.com. No New Friends podcast is going to make a donation to the film festival because it's important, and you've been fantastic, and we want to do whatever we can to help out.
Thank you so much. Like I say, and it's tax deductible, so you'll get something back.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Laura, thank you so much for coming here. And, as we get closer, if you've got time, we'd love to have you come back on to remind everybody about the Bedford Film Fest, July 1st in Bedford, Virginia, which I hear is beautiful.
Absolutely. And yes, it is. It is gorgeous here.
Awesome. Well, thank you again so much. You're listening to the No New Friends podcast After Dark. We'll be right back.
Hey, you want to join a cult? Well, this might be your lucky day. For just $2 a month and a simple blood oath, you can join our clubhouse and become a friend with benefits. In addition to the amazing feeling of donating to the poor, you will have access to Patreon exclusive content, live shows, and maybe even a behind-the-scenes look at my secret stash. To get started, head on over to NoNewFriendsPodcast.com and hit join our clubhouse. Can't wait to see you at the initiation ceremony. Oh, and in the chat during our live shows, of course.
So we weren't lying. She's super interesting. Can't believe you thought I was lying, guys, all listeners of the show. But yeah, she was awesome. Laura Willoughby, Bedford Film Festival. If you're in Bedford that weekend, go to her damn film festival, guys. It's going to be awesome. Support small films.
Yeah.
You support us, so support them.
It's going to be a cool event. And you can check out bedfordfilmfest.com. And there's all sorts of information. They're looking for donations. We're going to be a sponsor-ish of that as well. And she's going to be hooking us up with some other really, really cool guests coming up very, very soon. Very exciting guests that we've got coming up.
Like who? No, I'm just kidding.
Well, we do have Jeremy Miller is one of them who played Ben Seaver on Growing Pains. He'll be with us in, I think, 2 weeks. Although that episode may not drop in 2 weeks, but he will be with us in 2 weeks.
Also in 2 weeks, Jimmy Carter. Sadly, Imagineer Rolly Steinberg could not.
No, Crawley. No, it's not even Crawley. It's Raleigh Crump.
Raleigh Crump. We just booked him too late, man. Listen, for anyone who's wondering, Scott leaves me up to the booking.
Why are you talking like this? Why are you all just like talking like I jazz station DJ?
Because it's late and Emily's trying to go to sleep.
Oh, okay. Well, then here, let me take it over real quick. Okay?
Take us out, Scott.
I'm not gonna take us out. I'm going to take a stab at something here, and this is probably going to be a disaster, but let's go for it anyway. We've got Scott's Cliff Notes.
Oh my gosh!
All right, so
that's why you seemed so distracted the whole time.
Yes. So let's
I
see
thought
how
it was
this
just
goes.
boring.
No. All right. So Chris likes to say we're going to peel back the curtain, peel back the curtain, peel back the pages, whatever. He likes to peel back a lot of things, like the wrappers of Pokemon cards. I really wish I would have peeled back the wrapper of the condom. Because I have 57 kids. No,
that makes sense.
Okay, maybe we'll call this Scott's Crickets.
I just can't laugh loud.
I know. So Chris said that they went to a really fancy restaurant, but they actually had to leave and go to another one because the fancy restaurant did not have booster seats for Chris. I wrote these kind of out of order, so I'm trying to find out where to go here. Okay, Chris said he's in a high stakes fantasy football league. I stopped listening. I heard steak and immediately got hungry. Chris said that if they do this speech and all that, they video it, or nobody can video it, but if somebody does video it, this is a video that can never be released to the public. I've got videos that just shouldn't be released to the public. Mostly just me doing the backstroke in a pool.
A lot of those videos on YouTube, actually.
Yeah. Me in a dress, all that good stuff. Chris said that they all wore blazers. Now, there shouldn't have been a joke here, but when he said blazer, I immediately saw Sarah perk up because she thought he was talking about her people. So happy early 420, everybody.
Oh my goodness.
I was really proud of that one.
That was really good. I didn't want to laugh at that one. I didn't want to.
Chris said, they have to make excuses to go out. So they do this high stake fantasy football champions dinner, whatever. But I'm such a loser that I have to make up excuses to make friends and hang out with friends. Joke's on you guys. There is no podcast.
That was my favorite one.
And finally, Chris said he was so fired up. He got an assist. He got an assist because he pretty much got half the lay. Did you also get half the crabs, Chris?
To be determined.
And those are my cliff notes.
Bravo. If I could laugh louder, I would laugh louder, Scott. That was. I'm impressed.
Yeah, it's not that hard.
No.
So really, you don't have any talent. I guess any monkey can do this.
You saying that because I'm Puerto Rican?
No, honestly, it was difficult because I'm trying to pay attention to what you're saying so that I could respond and write the joke at the same time.
I'm not gonna lie, I thought that you were having a crisis during the episode because you were just looking at the other screen the whole time. I thought something terribly wrong had happened.
Everything's fine.
It was really good. And on that note, there's a lot of podcasts I want to plug. So I'm just kidding. If you listen to any other podcast but ours, I'm ashamed. No, seriously, guys, thank you all. If you're listening this long already, jeez, you listen to us. You're listening to us twice a week now. We owe you something. Not much, but we owe you something. Actually, no, we probably don't owe you anything at all. This is a gift to you. So on that note, on behalf of Sarah and Scott, who's trying to take my job, I'm Chris. Thank you so much for listening. We will see you right here next week. Bye.
Ryan says just steal some of our jokes in here, Scott, for those. Oh, wait, you did that. I did see some of them, and I was really excited about the blazer joke. I was trying to figure out how to word that.
The blazer joke was good because I thought you were going in a different direction for a second, even though you kind of did. You kind of did.
Where'd you think I was going?
Oh, go on.
Oh, you thought I was going more of the hate crime route?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, no. I was going the whole stoner route the whole time.
I wasn't sure which way it was going. It was fine either way.
Yeah, it kind of went both ways, like me. So anyway, I'm just kidding. I don't go both ways, but I wish I could because I'm all about inclusiveness.
No New Friends After Dark has been brought to you by Sandpiper Vacations. SandpiperVacations.com. Just check out our website, NoNewFriendsPodcast.com. Become a friend with benefits. Check out our sweet merch and so much more. This has been a No New Friends Entertainment LLC production.